Welcome to Domination Hub for everything Warriors and Major League Rugby. I'm Jarom Jordan alongside Banksy. The losing streak is over, baby.
It's done. What absolute incredible energy at Zions Bank Stadium, and of course, always good to come away with a Warriors win.
I leave for one game and 93 points are scored. How about that? How about that? Maybe I'm going to have to leave more often. I don't want to, but if that's what is needed for the team, let's do it. Okay, we're live on the Utah Warriors Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube accounts. Great to have you. If you have a comment or a question, throw it in there. We'll try and get to those throughout the broadcast. We're also on demand on KSLSports.com, KSL Sports app, KSL TV app, and rebroadcast Thursday nights on ESPN 700 and 960. We love our partners. Give us a like, share the show, follow the Utah Warriors on social media. And as mentioned, if you have a comment, fire away. We are handing out some swag per the norm.
Got a brand new Utah Warriors tee ready to rock and roll. Look at that. The beautiful mountains on the big red singlet. The training tank could be yours. All you have to do is share out the show on Facebook or retweet it out on Twitter. Make sure you do that for your chance to win that perfect team training top from the Utah Warriors in that red with the mountain peaks. It's fantastic.
That's the thing that Lance Williams basically wears every day after work. If you check his Instagram, he is constantly wearing that thing. It's awesome. Okay, here's what's on the rundown. A 50-43 win against Houston. What happened? A 5-point winner. Ashlee Byrge will help us recap the carnage that was the win in a moment. Which players made the first 15 in Major League Rugby? A couple of Warriors represented. On the bye week, where do the Warriors sit in the standings? We'll chat with Thomas Tuivasa about the win as well. I received a photo from head coach Sean Pittman. He is in his backyard, in Sean's backyard, on like the kids' play set. So this should be fun. And today's Rugby 101 discusses 22-meter dropouts. And let's bring in Ashlee Byrge, the Eagle with the 15s and the 7s at scrum half. Of course, she was the analyst with you doing play-by-play on the game on Saturday night to a worldwide audience, of course. And Ashlee, great to have you. And let's talk about it. This was a much-needed win for Utah, and Ashlee, they got it done. A lot of points allowed, but a lot of points scored.
Yeah, I actually lost my voice, and I don't know how because I'm pretty sure Banksy did 95% of the screaming. So I'm kind of confused, but I woke up with a sore throat because what a game. That was fun to watch.
It was incredible, and it is the most points scored in a game ever by the Utah Warriors. How about that? It is not the most allowed. That was Toronto in 2019, but this was much needed, and we finally saw that cohesion with the backs, and it yielded a bunch of tries.
It took a minute to get the Warriors going. Those first 2 minutes of that game was pretty scary. And, Banksy, I mentioned the Warriors are one of the lowest, they have one of the lowest penalty scores against them, or that they have committed the least amount of penalties. However, those penalties were costing them big the first 2 minutes. But once they got into the swing of things, I mean, those were tries. We've talked about this electric three and, the fire the Warriors have in the back line. And we finally got to see them, really in action, fire it up, working together. And it was so fun to see.
12-0 in the first few minutes, like you mentioned. And all of a sudden, it's like, oh, no, what's going on here? A quick try is allowed against San Diego. A quick try, 2 tries is allowed against Houston. But Banksy, boy, did the Warriors respond going on a 26-3 run to lead at halftime, 33-22.
I think it was almost good that they got scored on early because I think it woke the team up. I think Mikey Teo realized that he was going to have to force the issue and be a factor in this game, and then they absolutely turned it on with this back three, and it was Joe Mano and Mika Cruze switching places all over the field, left and right, playing next to each other at certain times. And then Mikey kind of inserting himself almost as another 10 and another playmaker on a second back line after the ball went through the back line.
Yeah, I think with that, you just see the rugby IQ. It was offense, it was defense. They were moving around. They were working in a pendulum. They knew how to use their strengths as players and where to be at the right time, and it really paid off. And heading into a bye week, after 3 losses, this was really big for the Utah Warriors. They can go into this week, they can take some rest, their heads are high, their confidence is high, and then we go into the next one, pretty fired up. So this was an important time for the Warriors to come back.
Think about what has happened, too. So if the Warriors win, they're scoring at least 4 tries. 7 in this one, in fact, which is incredible. And then if the Warriors, so it's a 5-pointer, 4 for winning, 1 for scoring 4 more tries. And then if the Warriors lose, it's within 7. So I feel really good about where Utah's at. Obviously, the one game doesn't turn everything, but it's certainly a step in the right direction, where you snap that 3-game losing streak, you score a bunch of tries, you do it at home in front of the great fans that is Dub Nation, and we saw 7. So let's walk through the 7. So Mika Cruz has 2, Mikey Teo has 2. Mikey Teo had 3 try assists, by the way, so he was like right there for 5.
On fire.
Thomas Tuaval had a great maul after a line out, which, by the way, Saya Uhila comes into the game, debut, just wrecks a fool on the restart, holding on, line out, maul, bang. That was so efficient. Michael Baskus scores an incredible try, and Joe Mano scores a try as well. Banksy, what was your favorite try?
I don't know. It's tough to say. I think I like the second Mika Cruz try where you've got Tuveri Vungakoto screaming down the outside. He fends one, gets the looping pass off to Mikey Tejo, then gets the pass off to Mika Cruz to score in that south corner. I think that try, the interplay between the backs and the forwards, this one right here. Two defenders beat. Teo takes the step outside, and then Mika just, that pairing had some chemistry last night that we haven't seen out of a pair of backs on offense yet this season.
Ashlee, which one did you like the most? There were a lot.
I was going to say, me as a 9, Basket try was super impressive to me because you're always taught to follow the ball, chase the ball, and that one-handed snag, I mean, that was an incredible pickup, incredible play, and, just shows, him being in the right position at the right time, and that's things that, our backup 9s, they learn from him. They see that stuff, and he knows how to be where he needs to be, and that's how he finished. So that was definitely my favorite try of the night.
And just to get that big bear paw on it, the pass was a little behind him, and he just reached back, and the ball just stuck right into his hands and pulled it around and was able to finish. I mean, it was unbelievable. He was off balance and was still able to turn, keep it at pace, and finish that try. That was an absolute 10 out of 10 scorcher.
Yeah, it was awesome. And Hagen Schulte, by the way, goes 6 of 7 in conversions, hits both posts on one and makes it. That was awesome.
So cool.
One of 2 on penalties, and the second one nearly resulted in a tie. If Houston goes down, he misses it, and anytime he misses it, he has his face like, I missed it, really? And okay, tell me the story. He lost his kicking tee. What happened?
Yeah, well, I'm not exactly sure. I just know I got a call the day before the game saying, hey, you kick, right? And I was like, yeah, well, do you have a tee? No, why? Because we need one for the game. So I'm not sure where that tee came from. Whose it wasn't mine, but maybe it was a little bit different. I don't know, but it worked. So T or not, I mean, he's an incredible kicker. We can't give it to the T. He was just on that game. He was on. So.
Yes, he was. Okay, Mikey Teo specifically. Let's talk about what he did in this. And Banks, you talked about the strategy involved there. He had 189 ball carry meters. That is an unbelievable number. 19 carries, 10 more than anybody on the team. 2 tries. He was incredible. And when the Warriors signed him, this is what he can do. This is like near the ceiling of what's possible for Mikey Teo, and it was really high.
It was unbelievable to see him, and he wasn't ever out of position. He wasn't ever out of place. Whether it was the steady hands on the restart, he was there for every high ball challenge when Houston tried to counteract the kicking game. He was in the right position, and then on attack, his ability to find exactly where he needs to insert in the line and play outside of Tyler Fisher, but inside of Mika and Joe was unbelievable. And then, this try here where he just made something out of nothing. I mean, it was broken play. There was players standing in front of him. And I think in his head, he's just thinking, all right, I'm going to do a little juke. I'll go straight ahead and just crash ball it in. And then he broke 2 tackles and was in for the score. I think it surprised himself.
It was incredible. And that link up with Mika Cruz, like we talked about, was impressive, Ashlee. 2 tries for Mika, a couple try assists for him as well. Fantastic in the open space, and that link is starting to form, which is very exciting.
Yeah, and what I see out of the 2 of them is they're just workhorses. Same with Joe on the sideline. Especially playing at fullback, you can easily hide around on the other side of the field, and you're not out of position, but you're not looking for work. Mikey looks for work. And that's how he gets his hands on the ball so much. He's back there finding space, finding gaps. He doesn't rest. And that's what's really impressive about him because, he could have gone to that game and had half his area, nobody would have said anything. But it's very impressive to see, the extra effort all the time. He chases every single, when the other team scores and they kick conversions, he's chasing to try to knock down every single kick. And those are the types of things that, that team looks up to him as a leader. And it's really impressive.
I was really impressed by the Gorilla Squad, the bench, who came in and just kept things going, if not at a higher level, right? They did an awesome job. I mentioned Saya Uhila, but let's talk about it some more for a sec. So Saya is like an OG Utah Warrior. He's been around 4 years. He's like the seasoned veteran. He's been getting up to speed with his health. He comes into the match and off a restart just gets down the field. This isn't the guy I'm thinking is getting down the field first, but he does. Banksy. He draws a holding on penalty, and then the Warriors line out, and then Thomas Tuaval goes in for a maul, and it was just perfect defense and perfect offense.
It's everything you could ask for from the Gorilla Squad. You want them to bring energy. You want them to make a difference. You want them to lift those guys that have been on the field for 60-plus minutes, some of them, and all of them did it. Matt Jensen coming back into the starting lineup. We saw the things that changed for the Warriors with him in the lineup at the line out, stealing balls, messing with other people's possession. And then 60 minutes in, here comes Goff, here comes Saya, here comes Gieselman, all of these guys, here comes Tucci, just big physical players. Paul Mullins came in and made an emotional difference. You talk about guys that lifted the team in every way that you would hope and made a physical and emotional difference.
Yeah, that last turnover of the game was Chad Goff. They just came in hungry. They were ready to fight. And we were in the last seconds of the game, Houston within 15 meters of being able to tie up the game. Chad turns over the ball that ends up in Mikey's hands to kick out of bounds and end the game. That's impressive time. Those are big moments for that Gorilla Squad to come in, and they're fresh and they're ready and they're hungry, and they made a huge impact in ending that game.
Let's take a look at some of the stats and see what sticks out. Utah does not have as much possession or territory in this one, fewer meters, but 50 to 43? This was just a crazy game. Both teams really successful in the scrums. Lineouts were better for Utah. A few missed still, but Matthew Jensen in the lineup, that certainly helped. Ashlee, what sticks out from the stats?
You look at that, and it seems like a pretty well-rounded game, and it was. No team overwhelmed another team in another area. It was a lot of back and forth play, and that's what ended up making the score so tight. So, I don't know. I think it was a really well-fought game, but I'm happy to see that the Warriors have fixed some of their set pieces that's a strength of ours. We've struggled in the past couple games. So, 100% lineouts and 79% scrums is a big takeaway from this game for, the Warriors forward pack.
And certainly we should mention 43 points allowed is way too much. But 50 scored is awesome. So there's work to do on that end. But overall, it was just snap the streak. I don't care how. If you give up 43, that's fine. You can work on it. But a 5-pointer at home, I'll take it every time.
I think a lot of that you got to give credit to former Warrior Robbie Povey, who was playing against his team for the first time. He knew a bunch of the guys. He knew what they wanted to do, and they were really good about counterattacking this Warriors team. It's what San Diego did that really led to the victory, and Balakana and Povey from the back were really good about finding those gaps in the Warriors defense. Now, 50 points, like you said, Jarom, is unbelievable. But if you really break down the game and where Houston scored most of their points, it was on the quick turnovers and the counterattacks. It wasn't from a lot of really structured ball and play. When they tried to do that, the Warriors' physicality really is what had the best of them. Even if you look at the first try that was scored, it was, Hagen Schulte trying to put a boot through the gap, and it was just an unlucky bounce. Full credit where it's due. It was a rundown from Houston, and then they were off to the races. But 3 of their tries really weren't any spectacular thing that they did as a team. They were great solo individual efforts, capitalizing on a Warriors mistake.
Yeah, and that's what I was mentioning earlier, in the show, is they may not have that many penalties, but they were big penalties. Majority of their penalties or, unforced errors resulted in Houston tries.
So Utah gets the win 40 to 53 into a bye week. Only 2 bye weeks in 18 weeks during the season. So this is one. Enjoy it. The other's 4th of July weekend, which is a great spot for a bye week. So hoping the guys enjoy, a couple days off on the weekend. Maybe it's like 1 or 2. I don't think it's like the whole week. But MLR first 15, 2 Utah Warriors represented. Michael Basco, he's good to have the scrum half. He had a try. Great game. Quick ball. He was getting it out. Then Mika Cruz, 2 tries, 66 ball carry meters. I can't even remember who the fullback was, but for some reason Mikey Teo didn't get it. I think Mikey should have got it. But 2 guys represented, which is always good, man.
I don't know how you have, your hand directly in 5 different tries and you don't make the team of the week. Maybe some participation trophies going so that we had all the different teams represented in that team of the week. But, I mean, Mikey Teo absolutely should have been in the 15 jersey on that team of the week.
Oh, totally.
Yeah,
totally.
I agree. He earned our player of the match. He was voted. We did a poll on Instagram. He was voted our player of the match. So, he's still getting credit. Credit is due, but I do agree with you that he should have been on there for sure.
Okay, it was Karelsi from Rugby ATL. I didn't see what kind of game he had, but
Must have been 6 tries. Maybe he had 6 tries.
He must have had 6.
And yep, 2 assists, something like that.
I think he really did have a good game. I think
I'm sure he did.
He may have had a hat trick even in that game. So I'm not 100% sure. But that's where, like, if you're going to lose to somebody that has a career night like that. That's fine.
Yeah.
Our hats are off to Karelsi of Rugby ATL. Well, good stuff. Ashlee, we appreciate the time, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Yep, thank you, guys.
Ashlee Byrge bringing it, as always, in the breakdown. So good stuff. Warriors win 50-43. Bye week, no games, so no preview for us. But later on, we'll talk to Thomas Tuaval, so hang with us.
Junior Warriors programs are back, and it's just $25, you guys. If you want to get your kids into rugby, learn the basics of the sport, and get to run and train with the Utah Warriors and the coaching staff, it's just $25. It includes a clinic that's 2 hours before a game, and you get that interaction with the coaches and players and 2 tickets to a home game. If you want to get your kids involved as a junior warrior, go to warriorsrugby.com.
Okay, week 6 MLR scores. Let's go over those. Rugby ATL beats NOLA 38-28. Kickoff moved back 90 minutes because of a storm, but Rugby ATL wins. A very competitive East. We'll look at the standings in just a minute, but a 10-pointer win for Rugby ATL.
I think the teams in the East that we thought were going to be great are starting to put it together. We knew Rugby ATL was going to be a contender there, and they're showing it now, scoring a lot of points in back-to-back weeks.
LA Guiltinis defeat San Diego 45-17. Again, a 40-plus point performance from the Oztinis, as you like to call them. 7 tries. Hey, another team scored 7 tries. DTH had 2 more tries. Nate Augsburger injured his ankle, was carted off. Again, a carted off player, Dylan Audsley, was the other a couple weeks ago against Utah. So best of luck to Nate in that. We don't want to see anyone carted off anymore.
It's really tough, and a lot of that is these artificial turfs that we're playing on. Internationally, most clubs have gone to like a hybrid turf, or they've gone back to a natural turf. Playing on artificial turf is really tough on the joints, and a lot of injuries happening, I think, because of our playing surfaces. But full credit to these guys. They're not backing off an inch on their performance. They're just sending it no matter where they are, no matter what week it is. So hope those guys, Augsburger, Audsley, all those guys, all the best in their recovery.
How good does the Utah Warriors win over Toronto look, or a couple weeks ago, by the way? Toronto beats Rooney 53-12. They're on a tear. Scored 52 last week, 53 this week. Have won by margins of 45 and 41 the last 2 weeks.
The points differential there is really the statement. You knew the discipline of this team was going to come through. There's too many Canadian international guys on that team that have played too much structured rugby. They struggled early. I think a lot of that was the conditions and the situation that they were placed in. They should get a lot of credit for playing away from home and in difficult circumstances every single week. And to do that and put together these types of performances on top of that is nothing short of astonishing, man. Full credit to Toronto.
Absolutely. It's kind of, in terms of impressive performances by teams this year, it's LA Guiltinis just out of the gate, bang. And then Toronto, as you mentioned. Old Glory DC, the next opponent coming up next week, beat New England 35-22. Dougie Fife had a pair of tries. That guy's scoring every week.
I think a lot of people laughed at me when I picked DC last week, and there's too many weapons on that team for them to not score a lot of points. If you're going to play against DC, you better be ready to run.
And then now I'm thinking the Seattle loss is more disappointing as we get going here as Austin Gilgronis defeats Seattle 42-15. 4 rows in a win for Austin. They scored 42. That's the most in a game. 27 largest margin. 22 points in 2 weeks for Seattle, who's really struggling.
It's good form for Austin. Credit where credit's due. They're really starting to put together some good structured rugby. They're playing with a physicality we haven't seen out of them before. They've learned to lean on their size and then capitalize on their speed in those key moments. They're doing something right in Austin, and Seattle continues to struggle. I would think with the new appointment of interim head coach Pate Tuilavuka that they're going to start to get things right there. There's way too much talent on that team. We saw shades of what they could be against that Warriors team, but when you don't have 2 weeks to prepare for a team, and you don't have all of that extra planning time to rest, recover, and game plan, you see what a struggle it can be in Major League Rugby for any team, especially when you're the reigning MLR champions like Seattle.
So Austin only has 2 losses. One of those is to Utah in week 1. So that win looking really good on the road as well. Okay, let's check out the standings. Western Conference, LA is just dominating. 5-pointers every week, 25 points. They're not going to be slowed down. It'll be interesting to see if anyone challenges them for the MLR championship. Perhaps the Utah Warriors will. Austin Gilgroni is in second at 4-2 with 21 points. Look at Utah, 19 points right there in the hunt for second right now. And again, the top 2 teams in each conference make the playoffs. San Diego 13, Houston 12, and then Seattle 6. Seattle getting blown by right now. Let's look at the Eastern.
Continues to struggle, but if you look at this Western standings, it's going to be tough to catch LA with as many games as they played. And remember, only 5 games played for the Guillotines as well, so still a game in hand with those points on offer for them at the top of the table.
And that's crazy, right? That's crazy. Okay, Eastern Conference. Ooh, it is bunched up. Look at this. It is bunched up. Toronto up top with Atlanta, and then Rooney just a point behind with NOLA. So you have 1 point separates the top 4, and then 3 points separate the top 5. And then New England, who isn't shabby, one of those 2 wins is against the Utah Warriors at home. So the East is going to be really interesting. There's a lot of parity there.
It's who wants to win it. I mean, somebody has to put their hand up. Right now, clearly, it looks like it's Toronto saying, no, we're the best in the East, and everybody else is chasing us. But when you look at it, 16 points on offer from Toronto, that's good enough for 4th place in the West, and they're leading the Eastern Conference there. So really, really tough. And I don't know if it's parity or if it's just the West is that much more competitive in between the different conferences. But, Toronto and Rugby ATL, the 2 teams that I thought would see at the top of the table as we push in towards the midpoint of the season. Rooney there as well. Not surprised that those are the 3 teams leading the Eastern Conference.
Okay, adding this to the rundown each week, let's talk about some of the leaders in the league in different stats. So Hagen Schulte is second in conversions. He has 15. Second in total points, 58. Tied for 5th in penalty goals. So he's bringing it. Mikey Teo tied for 2nd in tries. So those are the guys essentially in the top 10, and they are every week relied on to make plays.
They're going to have to continue to make plays for this side as well. We have to lean on that leadership. When you look at guys like, DTH Vandermew in LA, who, could take a week off and then come back and still score 2 or 3 tries at a time. That guy is a problem on the outside for LA, and teams need to learn how to deal with him. I think a lot of space opens up for him with guys like Giteau and Ashley Cooper playing inside of him. So they're going to get the bulk of the attention. And then Vandermew just finishing tries out there in LA by the buckets full. So when you look at that apples to apples, now that we have Mika Kruse really finding some form, we see the playmaking ability of Hagen Schulte and Mikey Teo. I expect the tries to continue to rack up for this Utah Warriors squad.
Okay, stay with us. We're going to chat with Thomas Tuivau coming up in a second, but bye week this week, and then we're back in action May 8th.
Come back and be with us in person at Zions Bank Stadium May 8th at 8 o'clock Mountain Time. Make note of the kick time, not 7 in its traditional time. We've got an 8 p.m. kick against Old Glory DC as the fast-paced team from the East comes to town. Get your tickets at warriorsrugby.com. And if you can't make it, make sure you join us on KSLSports.com, the KSL TV app, and the game will be called on ESPN 700.
Okay, games this week. Let's walk through them. 4 in action. New England at San Diego. Who do you have in that one?
That's a tough one. Both teams struggling for form. I think San Diego gets a couple of key pieces back and healthy, and they win that one by 7.
Old Glory DC at LA. That'll be a tune-up for the Warriors.
Another one on the road playing in the Coliseum. You're going to have to score 40 to beat the Guiltinis, and I don't think DC has that in them. So LA by at least 10.
At least 10. If we had Vegas lines, again, I think it would be like 17. Because LA is just so good, right? Toronto at NOLA. This is going to be a battle, and hopefully the weather's good because we've seen it pretty swampy and wet on that field.
It can be, but I think if it gets sloppy, that plays into the strengths of Toronto's squad with the structure and discipline that they have in their forwards. Nothing flashy, nothing wild. There's nothing super exciting that they do. Toronto in that game by 5.
And Rooney at Seattle. Do you expect the Seawolves to compete?
I would expect the Seawolves to compete at home, but I think Rooney has a little too much in the gas tank, and they run away with it. That's going to be a close game, though, at Seattle.
Okay, correction from me. So the game on May 8th is actually on FS2 nationally, which would be exciting. And then if you can't make it in person, you can watch on FS2 or listen on ESPN 700. So correction on what I put out there earlier. So you know what's cool is the Utah Warriors are getting out there, Banksy, and they're trying to find talent all over the country. They're actually going to have some pro days this summer, like all over. I am amazed at the reach of the Warriors nationally.
And you really shouldn't be surprised because the Warriors, I think more than any other club in Major League Rugby, are committed to that pathway development program. We have more local pathway players on our roster than any other club in Major League Rugby, and that commitment continues to build American rugby with the addition of some fantastic international talent by holding these pro days all over the country to scout around and develop that talent from all over. So if you're a rugby player, if you're eligible for the MLR Collegiate Draft, show up to one of these pro days. Make yourself seen. We'll have scouts, coaches, staff, and trainers on site in June and July in Tucson, Arizona, St. Louis, Missouri, Philippi, West Virginia, Brighton, Michigan, and here, of course, at home in Salt Lake City with the incredible talent pool that we have from our local clubs here. All attendees must be MLR College Draft eligible. To register and get more info about exactly when and where, go to warriorsrugby.com.
Okay, let's bring in Thomas Tuaval, the number 6, one of the flankers who has a great story. Growing up playing rugby league, now joins us, I believe, from Sean Pittman's backyard. Okay, you've moved from the play set, now you're against the house. How's it going, Thomas?
Yeah, it's going good. Full belly, watching the boys play spike ball.
They're playing spike ball.
Yeah, they go.
Sounds like a good off-week activity there, Thomas. Look, First of all, congratulations on making the first team. You had an unbelievable select season that I was able to watch, and then now the past couple weeks getting that call up to run in the first team with some rest and recovery for some of the other players, and you've been unbelievable. How was it scoring that first try for the Utah Warriors, bro?
Oh, it was fun.
It was several World Cups.
I think it was more fun because it was a team try.
Paul Mullins coming in, man.
You can see it here.
Yeah, so it was fun. I could hear Aston. You can see him. He was screaming in my ear the whole time. Ollie's laying on me right there, screaming in my almost burst my eardrum. But it was fun.
What's it like when Ollie's laying on you?
I mean, it wasn't too bad actually. It was, it was an exciting time. But
the adrenaline pumping.
Yeah.
It's got to be great when you have those weapons like that on your team, though. You talk about being into the 60th and 70th minute. You go up in the air, and Paul Mullins, the first one with his hands on you. Ollie Khalifi's on the other side. Aston Fortine and Saya are just driving behind you. That's a lot of meat pushing them all around, bro. You're the small guy in that squad at that point.
Yeah, my job is to just hold on to the ball.
And you did that for the try. And Thomas, it was one of 7 tries. You guys put up 50 points. This was a much-needed performance offensively. Obviously, there's work to do defensively, whatever. But you won. What was it like to have that performance coming off of 3 straight losses?
It was nice. It felt good. I mean, going into the game, it was kind of good energy. We knew it was time, for all the good things that have been, even in the losses, all the good things that we've been doing as a team, to just collectively come together and finally get that W that we've been working towards.
So give us a look at the lettuce. Shake that out a little bit in the back there. You know,
No, I put in the boys group chat today. I was asking about like a barber referral. So I don't know I don't know how much longer we're gonna have the flow going on at the back.
there's some serious competition for the best head of hair on the team, though. Mikey, Mika, Tucci,
Yeah.
you know, who's got the best head of hair in the squad? Because you and Josh Whippy kind of have the same little flow going.
Yeah, like nice mullet going on. I'm looking around the backyard right now. You missed out Michael Basker. He looks.
Basker's got like
going
the
on. He's
surfer
got
kid locks going
True.
on, you know. He's got the
Yeah.
Johnny Sunshine flow.
Yeah, and then Chad has some good flow. He has some good flow. I'd probably have to say Mika. Because he just lets it. He's just Mr. El Natural. He just lets it.
Just lets it go.
Natural curls, just good head of hair going on.
Can you show us what's going on in Sean Pittman's backyard right now?
Oh yeah. So
Here we go.
some spike ball.
Okay, some spike ball going on.
Himself.
There he is.
There we go.
Okay.
So
little barbecue with the team.
that was the swing I was on, but
Yeah.
you know,
This is what Sean Pittman sent me a picture of you just like chilling on the swing here.
oh, that's funny. Yeah.
I think you may be over the weight limit on that swing there.
That was my first thought when I sat down on it. Was how long is this going to last?
So talk a little bit about growing up overseas, playing in England, and making the switch from rugby league to rugby union. It's not a switch a lot of guys have the ability to make in the differences in the game between league and union. And you kind of grow up playing league more, right?
Yeah. So I mean, that's mostly all I played was rugby league. My dad, he played both codes his whole life, but he would watch rugby union on the weekends, you know. And I would watch, so I kind of knew the rules. But for the most part, like with rugby league, I just like the run straight challenge that's just permanently going on. You just run straight, people run straight at you, and so it's interesting. I have to do a lot of. I think the main thing they want me to work on a lot of the time is my tackle tech, is wrapping the tackle and just kind of getting used to like the small things. So that's probably the main difference between the two codes for me. Obviously, the scrums, the mauls, the breakdown, but I think the transition, especially with the Warriors and the coaching staff that they've had, just the 2 years I've been here, it's just been easy. Lots of coaching players, and so it's just a good time. It's really fun.
Okay, so we know you're living in England, growing up in England, and then you're with the Select. So tell us how you get to the States. And I know you went on a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints as well. So that took you somewhere. So how'd you end up in the States?
Yeah. So my mom's a nurse, and my parents were kind of in the process of wanting to leave England. My dad's from Tonga, and so they were kind of bouncing between some options, and they decided to move to California, which is where I was living before I moved to Utah. And so it was kind of the waiting game to get visas for the whole family, green cards, and then once that happened, once that went through, I've just been here since. I haven't even been back to visit. So,
and where'd you go on your mission?
I went to Louisiana. So, my mission itself covered Louisiana and Mississippi, parts of Mississippi.
Hey, maybe some homies can go to the NOLA Gold game whenever you play down there.
Oh yeah, I've already been kind of messaging people, letting them know that we play.
Nice
Down that way. So hopefully
that'll be awesome.
They have fans and we get some tickets. So.
That'll be great. Talk about the Pathways program and playing up through the club ranks, because I mean, you, Joe Mano, Logan Tongo, there's so many guys on this team. I think we have like 6 or 8 guys with first team contracts that all played up through the Select side. Talk about what that's like in a professional organization and the difference it's made for you.
Yeah. I think really what all comes down to is kind of the club rugby level in Utah. You know, because I played club rugby in California. I played it in Utah and the MPD. And the club level has lots of guys that have played international rugby, and now they're just playing for fun. But then you have guys that are trying to, take rugby somewhere. So to have that pathway program with the Utah Warriors to be able to pick guys from college programs, and then the MPD, the men's Premier Division, I think it helped me a lot in my growth especially the transition from rugby league to rugby union. To sorry, and then where was I?
Who distracted
I think that was Aston. He's
you?
really good in the
Classic.
line out, so he's over here jumping up and down, trying to be at deck level. But, yeah.
That's awesome.
But the pathway program, you have coaches that have coached at the professional level, and the coaches that we have with the Utah Warriors, they come down to each session. They walk through meetings, installations, and stuff. So it really wasn't that big of a difference for me to see the difference between the pathway and the first team with the Warriors. They're really similar the way the training goes, and so it's a great system for players to come up that have that desire to play and the ability to do so.
6 games into the 18, so a third of the way through. 3-3, tied for or third place in the Western Conference. What's the conversation like with the team as you guys continue this? I guess a 16-game schedule. Sorry, but 18 weeks. What's the bye week going to be like, and what's the conversation like as a team as you try and head the right direction?
Yeah, so we have the time off now, but yesterday put in a good session. There's not really any difference between a Tuesday session of a game week and a bye week. Really, we really put the meters in and put the contacts in, the things that we need to be doing. And so I think as a team, we know that we have the ability to win. The 3 games that we have lost have been, in my opinion, games that we could have won. Games that we lost by really, really low points, really close scoring margin. And so I think we're just kind of that team that just a bunch of quiet guys. We keep our heads down, we do the work, and I think as a team collectively, we just kind of feel like it's time for the quiet guys to make some noise and go on a winning streak.
But not really during this interview. Like, we need them to be quiet there during the interview. You mean on the field?
Yeah.
Well, I talked with Michael Baska before the game, and I noticed a difference in the attitude. The focus in Ali Khaleesi, it really feels like there was a mean streak added to this team that I didn't see there before. There was an attitude that wasn't there before. Like, you boys collectively decided you needed to make a statement, and there was no more Mr. Nice Guy, even though the physicality of this team has been unbelievable. Was that something you guys talked about in putting on that attitude and bringing that swagger a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, you say with Ollie, like, he's all smiles, but once you see him, at game time in the locker room, he's all business. He's a guy that's played at very, very high levels, and so he kind of adds to the energy that the team already has. Of like, we're gonna win, we're gonna go out, we're gonna be physical, and like you have to bring your A game to just be able to compete with us. And so that the game on the weekend was kind of a good way of showing that we, they had the 2 quick scores at the beginning, but every time we huddled up, it was kind of like next job. We know what we're doing. We know what's going to happen. Like, we know how this is going to end. We just need to do our jobs.
Will you do me a favor and just for fun, will you just yell out to the guys like, "Hey, quiet down! I'm on Dub Nation."
Oh no! You got music going? Are you really going to do that to me? I'm not that guy. I don't know if I want to do that.
You're good. You're good.
All right, ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
They would probably tell me to show up. Honestly.
They're like, no. Okay, who's the best hang there?
The best hang?
Yeah.
Who's the most fun to hang out with?
Yeah.
Oh, honestly, if you just want to laugh, it has to be Tucci.
Not
It
shocked.
has to be Alex Tucci. He always has something to say, and it's usually funny.
Well, that's why we have Tucci time, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tucci time. Or probably Logan. Logan's just. I had to show him. He comes in with the sun hat on. I don't know if that's appropriate.
Well, congratulations on all the success so far. Manasseh Junior B Manoa says, "Do it, Tom. Tell him to keep it down." So yeah, maybe next time, right?
No. That's my cousin though. Shout out to MJ, but I'm not doing that.
Well,
congratulations on all the success, Thomas. It's a lot of fun watching you and the boys play. and to see you guys continue to raise your game, man. As a fan, I love watching it, brother. Congratulations on everything.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, thanks,
Appreciate you
Thomas.
guys.
We'll see you, brother.
We'll see you. Yep.
Okay, maybe next time. Maybe next time.
He's got to get his mana in the locker room up first. You can't leave with something like that. You gotta earn that mana in the locker room.
He's like, I just barely became a starter last couple of days. I can't, couple games. I can't be doing that. he's fun, and what a cool story, right? He's grown up in England. He moves to California. He goes on a mission to Louisiana. So he's been all over, right? He's seen it all, and now he's a starter on the Utah Warriors. Like, he's one of those guys, Banks, that in the fall you were saying like, hey, he's one of the standouts. We could see him, and we have seen him. Now he scores a try. He's been really physical. He's got the lettuce. There's a lot to love there.
It's clear the commitment that Utah Warriors have to growing the game here in America. Where we see a lot of these other clubs like LA basically just go out and spend a bunch of money to get a bunch of good players. We've seen San Diego do the same thing. Even in Seattle, where most of those players were from that very well-established Vancouver talent pool. Here in Utah, we have a local talent pool to draw from, and we continue to build that local talent pool as well as reach out to all of these other players with this pathway program. And you're talking about guys at every level with this coaching staff that are capped Eagles, guys that have played in World Cups, elite athletes for all of our national programs on the men's and women's side. So it's great to see the commitment that this club has to our community and to the traditions of rugby.
Yeah, amen to that. So Thomas is part of that, which is super fun. And we talked about the pro days around the country. How about the Utah Warriors connecting with the state of Washington to continue to grow the game?
This is super cool, and it kind of flew under the radar with the announcement of the Liberty Boys Academy. This is another great way to grow rugby in America. And this Saturday, that's May 1st in Liberty Lakes, Washington, just outside of Spokane, the Utah Warriors are going to hold the first Washington clinic with Utah Warriors co-founder Luke Kerr. If you want to continue to build that Liberty Academy to become part of one of America's top academies for rugby, if you're looking for an elite place to play, look for a social media for all of the updates and look up Liberty Boys Academy. This is another great asset in continuing to build rugby here in the USA.
What's up, Zags fans? An amazing run to the title game. They can show up and play some rugby as well. Okay, Rugby 101 today. We talk about 22-meter dropouts. This is the phrase we talk about, right? What does it mean? What is this?
So this is another way to restart the game, and it's not something that happens often, but it's also not uncommon. When a ball is kicked and it goes into a player's own try zone, that player can down it in the try zone, and then it becomes a 22-meter dropout. Also, if a penalty kick is missed and it goes out of play, then it also becomes a 22-meter dropout. And that means a player on the opposing team can take that ball and drop kick it from anywhere behind the 22-meter line and restart play, meaning the ball has to hit the ground first and take a bounce before the player kicks it. Now, there's no 10 meters back on this. Players can stand right in front of that guy kicking the ball. He can tap it with his foot and get into play. There's a lot of other little things that go down here, but it's a way to restart play under some specific conditions with the advantage going the way of a team that has won possession.
Yeah, I compare it to it'd be a touchback where you kick it off again type of thing. So
similar to that, where it goes into the end zone or past the try line, and rather than coming out and taking possession of it because it was on a miscue or the appropriate amount of pressure was applied on that kick by the kicking team, they're going to get possession back, but you at least get the chance to compete for that field position with a big dropout.
Absolutely. Okay, reminder, we're handing out a Utah Warriors tee to one of you lucky fans who shares the show on Facebook or retweets post of the game on Twitter. Make sure you do that for your chance to win. Okay,
the weather's getting nice, man. Sun's out, guns out with this tank top. Sun's out, guns out, baby.
A reminder, no game this week. One of two buys in an 18-week span, so nothing to look forward to this week. You can take a bye week, and then we will be back next week for Dub Nation, of course, and then Old Glory DC coming to town on May 8th. Okay, that'll do it for us. Like and share this episode of Dub Nation on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. A reminder to follow the Utah Warriors on social media throughout the season on KSL Sports. For Thomas Tuivasa, who wouldn't call out his teammates, Ashlee Byrge, Billy the producer, and Banksy, I'm Jarom Jordan. Go Warriors.